All right, welcome back to Jets Flight Squad. I'm Italy Jet. We got Gunny Gumby, your Jets situation report, and DKBxJets. Woo! Happy Monday. A few days until training camp. How we feeling, fellas?
I'm great.
Yeah, man.
Content on the way.
Yeah, literally, like we're gonna have legitimate stuff rather than it be all the rumors and everything. We're gonna have legitimate stuff to talk about, and now I can go ahead and come out of my shell and start posting more videos. It got so overdone, bro. All the rumors and stuff, everybody's jumping on it, and I was just like, I can't really bring my own authentic feel to any videos that I make. You know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and enjoy the summertime, enjoy the off season, but season's back, baby. It's time to go ahead and get behind the camera and start posting content. I'm pumped.
I'm ready. What about you, DK?
Yeah, I'm psyched. Position battles. I've seen it seem like Hard Knocks is officially confirmed by the NFL and not just the sources now. So
Facts.
It's good to be able to talk about football and not have to go to the brink of my brain to try to figure out what kind of ideas
right. I mean, I'm creative, man, but I ain't that creative. It was getting rough trying to find ways to tie content together.
I was on like page 16 of Google.
Yeah, right.
Typing into your guest, trying to see like, well, what hasn't been talked about.
Yeah, and dude, everything. It's like I feel like everybody's overlapping each other now. Like it's just one after another. But Jigaman Porto, I'm about to be on with you at Will Parkinson in about 40 minutes. We're actually going to have situation report on that show Wednesday. Night. Yep,
yes,
Wednesday
sir.
Night. And then DK the following week. It's going to be awesome.
Looking forward to it, boys. Looking forward to it.
It's going to be awesome. All right, I don't think this gets talked about enough. We're breaking down what the New York Jets 2023 NFL draft class can contribute. Joe Tippmann and McDonald, in my personal opinion, doesn't get talked about enough. I think Joe Tippmann has a real chance to be that Mangold, to be an immediate starter in front of Aaron Rodgers. And McDonald, I think he has a real chance to be a difference maker on that defense and possibly to start. Now, I understand maybe JJ could come in there and start, but man, I am excited about this McDonald dude. Super excited. I think those two don't get talked about enough. What do you guys think?
I mean, personally, I think McDonald is going to shock a lot of people.
Agreed.
I think right now we have it in our heads that, you know, it's Quinnen Williams, you know what I'm saying, is a sack leader, and then after that guy is Carl Lawson and Jermaine Johnson. Yeah, we got a lot of guys out there, edge rushers, but I think that in terms of pure edge rusher, we actually have one in a guy like a Will McDonald, and I think he's going to explode off the scene because he gets to eat when you got guys like a Quinnen Williams. He gets to play in position, vice out of position like he did in college, and I think seeing that dude with his incredible bend, his length, is going to make some big time plays. Then call me crazy, but we might have another defensive rookie of the year candidate on the roster with a guy like Will McDonald. So I don't think he's getting hyped enough. I know when we first picked him up, we were like, man, what are we doing? It's a deep defensive line. But then when you go back and you start really digging into this kid, you realize like he's probably the purest pass rusher we have on this roster. And that says a lot when you can go ahead and get the help from the other guys, like a Carl Lawson on the other side, like Quinnen Williams in the middle, like causing havoc. You can't double team everybody, and Q's going to demand a double team every time. And I have this gut feeling he's going to be able to go ahead and take full advantage of his one-on-one matchups against that right guard. I'm excited to see him get out there and potentially be the defensive rookie of the year coming out this season.
Gunny, I agree with you. DK, I really do think that with the heavy hitters that we have, we can carry like 9 to 11 guys on the defense front line. I think McDonald, not only does he not get talked about enough, but this is such a solid guy to me. This is such a solid pick. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you can't help but not love him, right? He probably has the best bend, second to Bryce Huff, turning the roster. And who knows? I mean, just looking at some of those positional drills that they were doing during OTAs, well, McDonald looked pretty good being able to get around the little hula hoop or whatever the little setup that they had there was. We know how quick he looks on the field, and he's reverting back to his natural position, being in this 9 wide attack where, the Cyclones had him basically attacking a guard, playing on the inside. It just didn't make sense with what his build, what his speed and skill set was. So I think he is underrated. I mean, I chatted about it earlier. Obviously, the NFL, or at least the betting world, thinks more highly of him than anybody else. I think he had the 8th best odds for Defensive Rookie of the Year. I think there's some secret stuff there, right? He's probably looking at Jermaine Johnson level snaps, unless he does show out early. But to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if he outplays Bryce Huff at the moment. He's more suited to be able to attack the run, which is the only reason we don't play Bryce Huff as much. It's hard not to talk about the talent that's around him and not think he can come in and excel. Quinnen Williams forcing people to step outside of the interior of the box, collapsing pockets, and I think what makes him so skilled as a sack artist is the fact that he has the bend, but he also has that natural instinct of how to attack a quarterback when they're on the run and trying to scramble. So I think he'll pick up some pretty major stats, early on in his rookie season.
Well, we got some really interesting. I agree with you, DK, for sure. For sure. We got some interesting questions. We got Joe Capone. If I'm saying that wrong, I'm sorry. But what do you think Rodgers' contract will look like? Who wants to go first?
He's okay. So wait, he's $102 million on the cap. The way it's set up currently. I got a feeling they'll probably try to split it as evenly as possible, but they'll probably try to push some money into next year. So probably like 46 million this year, and what is it? The remaining 58 or whatever it is pushed into next year on the cap. But to be honest, I have no idea. The way that the Rodgers contract was originally set up, there's so many like nooks and crannies into it with how the signing bonus was set out, options that they had and stuff. So just from a pure number standpoint, I'll say it's probably going to be like a 40-60 split.
What do you think, man?
I think it's going to be a complete restructure. I think Aaron Rodgers came here for one reason and one reason only, to prove all the haters wrong. I don't think he's chasing a bag. I think he's chasing a ring. I think he understands that he comes out here and wins in New York. He's legendary. You're an instant legend. You win in New York. The Super Bowl you won in Wisconsin and Green Bay was cute, but you win one in New York, bro. Like, now you're a legend. And I think because of that, he's going to go ahead and pull a Tom Brady, take less in order for them to be pieces around him. That restructure is going to, in essence, take away some of that burden, right? I think it's going to be a 3-year contract with potentially an average from 30 to 35 million per year, broken up over these next 3 years. And I think that's him taking a pay cut to go ahead and make that a reality.
I agree.
Yeah, man. I think it's going to be somewhere 3 years, $35 to $40 million a year for the next 3. And that's him restructuring it to go ahead and not only provide cap relief for the Jets, but also they can put pieces around him moving forward.
Man, I agree with what both you guys are saying. I think it's a total reconstruct. I think he's going to pull the Manning and Brady. I think he just wants pieces around him. He knows that this is a short window, not only for him to retire in like 2 or 3 years, or maybe even next year, but it's a short window for the New York Jets because all these contracts are continuing to getting smaller and smaller, anywhere between 2 to 4 years. So if he has a chance to win now and take less money and go for a ring, this is the perfect chance to do it right now. And that's number one. Number two, the question on 19 New York Jets, 69. You guys think Q will have an even better season than last year, sack-wise? 100%. I think he gets better every year. Like, even when people don't want to see it, he does the little things right every single year. And now that he's got his money, he's got his brother back, he's got a newborn child, and he's got Aaron Rodgers with him. This is going to – and you just drafted Will McDonald. I think this is going to be a whole new opening wave for Q. I think he's going to do really, really well. What do you think, Gunny?
He had 12 sacks last year, right? It's a lot of sacks. It's a lot of sacks for a defensive tackle. It really is. It's one of those things where you look at the numbers and you're like, man, and the amount of snaps it took for him to get there. I don't see the Jets having that many defensive snaps this season. I just don't. The one thing I can say, though, when they are going to be getting those defensive snaps is going to be with their ears pinned back to get after the quarterback, because we're going to be playing with some leads. So it puts me in that realm of like, I think if he does get more, it's not by much. We're talking about 12 and a half, 13 sacks.
Yeah. I'm thinking like 10 to 13.
You know what I'm saying? 10 to 13
like
is that window. But I think because our defense won't be on the field as much, that changes the amount of reps he's going to have to make that happen, right? And I think because of that, it's going to be it's asking a lot. 12 sacks from a defensive tackle is that's impressive, right?
It's like Aaron Donald numbers. That's Aaron Donald numbers.
It's a lot. So I'm gonna go with it stays about the same. Only because when he is on the field, it's going to be with the lead and him getting after the quarterback. So I'm going to go that 10 to 13 sacks is going to be what he sells. So relatively the same from last year. I just think asking more from a defensive tackle than that is I mean, if he does it, great. I ain't mad at it. But it would put him in that realm of Aaron Donald. Like, you've got to talk to him and Aaron Rodgers in the same breath if he does more than 12 sacks this season.
What do you think, DK?
Yeah, I'm about the same. I think I do think he'll see the same level of snaps to a certain degree, maybe even slightly more. Just taking a look at the defensive tackle room, the skill set's a little bit more specialized between Quentin Jefferson, Al Woods. You still got Solomon that's hanging back there. So I think if there's going to be a season where it happens, where our defensive tackle room is solid but not necessarily as well rounded as it was before, I could see them leaning on him a little bit more, and then kind of feeding into, the leads and stuff, as Gunny mentioned. But I'll probably say it's hard to get double-digit sacks as a tackle. I'd probably say, even with his skill set and how dominant he is, I'd say between like 9 and like 11 sacks is probably what we look at with him. I would say he's probably more likely to break his tackle for loss record.
I think overall, I agree with you both, but I think overall, I think we're going to rely a little bit more on him, because we saw it was like when we didn't have him in that one game last year. And I think he's going to be out there a little bit more. I know we got Jefferson. I know we got Al Woods. I know we have a number of players that position, but we've seen what it was like to not have him out there. And I think 9 to 12 for me, I think is a good number to stick. Now, 19 New York Jets, 69 is another question. Here's an even better question. Who will lead the team in sacks? Because we're stacked like animals. I still think it's Q. I still think it's Q overall. What do you guys think? Or JJ? I'm thinking JJ at number 2, though.
I'm leaning Carl Lawson.
Really?
He proclaimed this his double-digit sack year. He's always had the numbers to kind of back up from a pressure standpoint, him having a large sum of sacks, right? He's always just not necessarily finished as great. He obviously had the injury history, but we seen, I don't even want to say it was glimpses. We've seen a little bit more than flashes from him last year. But even himself, like, I don't know if it was one ear, in one ear and out the other with us as fans. But even he mentioned for the majority of last year, it doesn't feel normal yet. I'm 60%. I still don't kind of feel like I'm at where I'm at. You take a look at the film, he's not really converting speed to power or using speed against opponents where it worked out effectively as often as he was the year before. He still came away with 7 sacks. He still was up there with pressures in the league. I think he's another one of those guys on the defensive line you have to rely on. I mean, he took a pay cut for us, which was great. So, he's probably one of the few guys on our roster internally motivated to be great just for the sake of being great. And I think that'll be a huge factor for us this season. So Carl Lawson would be my guy. If it's one of the younger ones, I wouldn't be surprised. But Carl Lawson is probably the best well-rounded edge player that we have at the moment in terms of proven production. So I'm rolling with him for sure.
So Carl Lawson is, if I'm betting today, we're doing the old gun to the head scenario again. It's Carl Lawson. I'm betting on him to lead the team in sacks. But again, call me crazy, but I can't help but fall in love with Will McDonald in this situation, because one of the highest win rates in college, like of all time, one of the highest wins of all time. He might not get as many snaps because, like DK said, Carl Lawson is better well-rounded. He's going to be that edge rusher that can go ahead and get to the quarterback, but he can set the edge. He can also go ahead and be an impact in the run game. Will McDonald is on the lighter side as well, so I think he's going to be taken off the field in those rundowns, which could limit his opportunities. But I think if it's not Carl Lawson, it's going to be Will McDonald. If it's not Carl Lawson, and I love Q, I love me some Q, but again, defensive tackle, it's a lot more difficult to get to the quarterback. And after last year's tape, you can almost guarantee every team we play this season is game planning for Quinnen Williams. So he's going to face double teams and triple teams from the beginning of the season on. It's not going to be like, oh, by midseason they're like, oh shit, this dude is crushing us. Let's go ahead and throw more bodies at him. So I think Will McDonald, being the rookie, could potentially have some surprise ones early. That kind of sets the tone and the stage for him. But if it's not Carl Lawson, to me, my guy's Will McDonald. But gun to my head today, it's Carl Lawson. I think hands down, I'm expecting it from 13 to 15 sacks from Carl Lawson this season.
Gun to my head, I'm going with Will McDonald or JJ. I think JJ is going to step up a lot this year, and I think they're going to play him a little bit more. And I think Will McDonald's going to play a lot more. Q, I think it's obvious for me, but I love what you guys said about Lawson. I mean, I'm just not there yet, but I understand where you guys are coming from. Now, 19 New York Jets, 69. How about this one? How many double-digit sacks will this team produce this year?
Damn it, man. Okay.
Oh man, that's a nail biter. Who wants to go first?
I'm rolling with two. I'll say two. The most likely we talked about Quinnen Williams, Carl Lawson, and really this is the heaviest piece I'm factoring into this is Jeff Ulbrich and how much he loves his defensive line rotation.
Yeah, exactly.
For the purpose of trying to limit injury. Bryce Huff is a guy that could have reached double-digit sacks if he played like 350 snaps, but he's not. He's playing like 190 something, I think it is. So Bryce Huff, Will McDonald, I kind of have them in the same mold. I think they could probably hit 4 to 7 if they are under 200, 250. I don't know. Like, if it was going to be anybody else, it would be those two, Bryce Huff or Will McDonald. And it's from the standpoint that, our defensive line is generally very efficient. I won't say we overly, put up multi-sack games from one player per se, but in the limited snaps we usually see from them, they're pretty efficient, right? Converting 40% or whatever of their pressures into sacks. So I roll with 2 as like the most likely number still.
The correct number is 3.
Exactly.
I think 3 individuals on this defensive line is going to hit double-digit sacks. And I think it's going to be Carl Lawson, Quinnen Williams, and the other will be either JJ or it will be Will McDonald. Now, I see some individuals in the audience talking about Will won't get as many snaps this year. So this is where I look at it and think to myself, all right, hold up. This is a first-round draft pick chosen by Ulbrich and Coach Saleh. This guy was the number 1 draft pick. Not to mention, he's the bendiest and quickest guy off the line potentially. Bryce Huff, had the quick burst. He did not have the bend of a Will McDonald. I understand Bryce Huff being a lot of people's favorites and they got love for him. I believe that, Bryce Huff is going to be an impact player for us this year. But JJ, I love me some JJ as well, but he's more of a well-rounded guy that I think is going to be more set the edge type of a guy in there, mostly in running plays to go ahead and pretty much prevent the run. I think on pure pass downs, you're looking at a pass rush set of Quinnen Williams. Obviously, is a must, but the edge is going to be Carl Lawson, Will McDonald, and Bryce Huff will be swapping out on those definitive passing sets. And Aaron Rodgers is the New York Jets quarterback. People don't realize last year the New York Jets were 5th in sacks, total sacks on the season, 5th. We were always fighting for a lead. When you have a lead, you can really let your defensive line eat. If we don't have 3 double-digit sacks, I'll be shocked. I expect the Jets to play with a lot more leads, which means, hey, boys, don't worry about the run. Go eat. Let those dogs go eat. I think that's going to go ahead and be the trajectory we see where, again, that third person is going to be, in my opinion, Will McDonald or Bryce Huff. I love JJ. I love JJ. This isn't to knock him, but JJ is more of a well-rounded pass rusher. I see him also being potentially the most impact edge rusher we have at stopping the run. But in terms of pure get after the quarterback, man, I love me some Bryce Huff, and I love me from what I've seen from Will McDonald. So yeah, I think one of those two will hit 3, but I think Quentin Williams and freaking Carl Lawson is a definitive yes. So the answer is 3 for me.
Awesome, guys. I was thinking 3 as well. Hey, DK, do you think you could share a screen with me real quick?
Yeah, I got you.
Here we go. Here we go. I got some great news about 30 minutes ago. The New York Jets, our internal content group, has now 19 Emmys this year. Most of any team in New York. Congratulations, New York Jets, baby.
That's insane, bro.
I love that.
This is for our flight series, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think last year they got nominated for like 13 or something like that.
13,
19 now. Look at that. 19. Ain't that crazy?
Man.
It's funny too, because I see a couple after I started watching those heavily when they come out, I see some other teams. I think like the Bengals. I think I saw one for the Browns that are like they're shot in a pretty similar fashion now. So
they've set the tone. The Bengals, I saw the Chargers now are doing their own freaking thing.
Yeah.
And the Bears are doing their own thing now too. And this is all paying homage to One Jets Drive, right? Yeah. These guys have kind of set a tone of what like social media interaction looks like, throwing those episodes out there. And I mean, my goodness, 19 New York Emmy nominations. That's ridiculous, crazy, bro. That is ridiculous. Yeah, you know what I found funny? Y'all saw that they decided to go ahead and shift dates for One Jets Drive on Mondays now from Thursdays.
Yeah.
Y'all know what day Hard Knocks comes out every week? It's
okay.
Tuesday. It's Tuesday. So on Tuesdays, Hard Knocks comes out. And they were like, oh, okay, Mondays, cool. We'll be coming out on Monday nights for One Jets Drive. I love it. I love the pettiness of it.
Smart play.
Because you know what's going to happen. We're going to be comparing the two, right? Like, what do we see on Hard Knocks that we didn't see on One Jets Drive and vice versa? So for me, it's kind of cool. They're already getting some stuff
get that
now.
Comment out when he's speaking.
The what?
You can get the comment out because you're blocking Gunny. There you go. There you go, Gunny.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
It's all good.
But yeah, so like I love, man, One Jets Drive. I look forward to it. And again, one reason why I felt we didn't need Hard Knocks is because of these guys. But
yeah,
you know what I'm saying, like, competition always pushes greatness. So I think we're going to see some even better content from One Jets Drive this season because Hard Knocks is coming into their house.
And this is a bold thing for me. This is a bold thing for me to say, and I'm going to back it till the day I die. The Rams in St. Louis had the best team of a video like this. Of all the Emmy nominations, they had a great team, the best in the NFL back in that day when my dad and me were working for them. It was amazing. Like everything they did is exactly what's kind of doing what the Jets are doing now, and they set the tone. And now the Rams are all the guys split up, and now they're not the same anymore. But what these guys have done has taken it to a whole new level. And I really do think it started with the St. Louis Rams. Now they're in LA. But what they have done and what I've seen my dad do, it's a freaking nature with these guys too. And how much access that they have to things to get the great content and the tools. It's amazing to see.
I'm fired up. I'm ready for the videos to start dropping already.
Me too. Get no popcorn. It's a ritual for me. I tell my wife to go somewhere and I watch all this. That's what I do.
Yeah, a couple hours at night when I'm free and trying to do my videos might be sacrificed by Hard Knocks and One Jets Drive content now.
Exactly.
I wonder if they're going to try to keep it around like an hour. I don't know how long Hard Knocks was before, but I'd assume they're both around an hour.
Yeah, Hard Knocks
was an hour, yeah. And then it wasn't this one. It was like 45 minutes, right?
Yeah,
30 to 45 minutes
for One Jets Drive.
Like 30 to 45. Yeah. But yeah. Guys, any closing thoughts?
Well, I want to answer New York Jets 6'9's last question real quick.
Okay.
So he says, we're saying Lawson leads the team. But how many double digit sacks does he have in his career? I don't think he has it. And you're right. He's never had any. The closest he got was, I think, his rookie year, 2017. If I'm not mistaken, 8.5, 9 sacks, something like that. But he did not have the supporting cast that he currently has right now with the New York Jets defensive line. And he sure as hell didn't have Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback, giving him, it was like Andy Dalton. So about as mid as it gets a quarterback was Andy Dalton. But again, I think the biggest reason why I feel comfortable saying that is with Aaron Rodgers rejuvenated coming in here. We're going to see. So somebody was saying like, oh, he's 39 years old. Like, you guys are out of your minds. Well, Tom Brady went to Tampa and freaking proved everybody that he wasn't freaking finished. Freaking Matthew Stafford left Detroit, went to freaking LA. What, Rams? No. Yeah, Rams.
Stafford. Yeah, Rams.
St. Louis, whatever. He went to freaking the Rams, right? And then proved like, yeah, I got a lot left in the tank. And there's something to be said about going to a place where you're valued, appreciated, wanted, rejuvenated when you're this level of an athlete. Aaron Rodgers last year was not bad. People he was making throws that few quarterbacks can still make in this league. 40 drops. And I say it again, 40 drops played such a huge role in the big picture of his statistics. Like, oh my God, he's a top 10 quarterback. He used to be a top 3 guy. But 40 drops, if you took into account the numbers, that they left 5 touchdowns on the table, plus 500 something yards of total loss is what that's minimum. Those are the minimums that were left on the table with those 40 drops. You change that dynamic, and he's a top 5 guy with those additions off of the minimums that should have been caught of those 40 drops. So for me, I'm so pumped to just get Aaron Rodgers out there so he can just ball out, because so many people don't realize this dude is still a top 5 guy minimum in the NFL. Minimum top 5 guy. And honestly, wouldn't shock me if he was a top 3 guy when it's all said and done. I still like Joe Burrow, and I still like, Patrick Mahomes a little bit more. But yeah, I think Rodgers is going to make life easy for this defensive line. Just like he's going to make it easy for our offensive line and our wide receivers. I'm pumped, beyond pumped, to go ahead and get this thing going, because the only way you're going to shut up the doubters, right? And I'm not saying you're a doubter, not New York Jets 6'9". I'm just saying, like, the doubters that are saying that he's washed and whatnot, is to watch him play. But for me, that's why I think Lawson gets double digits. He got 7 last year, I think it was, at 60%, right? Coming back from an Achilles injury. He wasn't even feeling 100% yet. Mentally, predominantly, he was probably freaking not going 100%. I think going into year 2 at 100%, he's good for 3 more sacks, especially with an offense that can actually go ahead and give him leads.
Okay. I think overall, for me, I'm always tough on Rodgers, and if you guys can hear my cat in the background, just ignore it. But if for me, I've always been tough on Lawson. I kind of want to see more. I want to see what he looks like. And I just want to see what happens. But when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, he's now ranked 4th now. The rankings are out, PFF. He's ranked 4th now in the NFL. And I think I still think that's pretty good for a guy that's going to turn 40 and 39. So that's just me. I'm ready. I'm locked in. I want to see all the content. I want to see all the games. I'm going. It's official. I'm going to go see Mahomes and Rodgers play on Sunday Night Football at MetLife. Super excited about that. But that's just me. DK, what do you got?
It's one of the conversations I'm over with. Like, I don't know why there's so much hatred around wanting to see Aaron Rodgers perform as like the lower tier. Like, just at his age, being almost 40, he's still within the top 5, top 10 worst case scenario, like we said. So like, a lot of us, I would say the NFL as a whole, I won't even say it's a Jets fan thing. Average quarterback play, we're in the playoffs. We just upgraded our most important position after leaving plenty of plays of our own on the field. And
new text message
she's killing me. Now all of a sudden the conversation is you have a Hall of Fame quarterback, but you guys are going to struggle because he's not number 1 in every category anymore. Like, that's ridiculous. So it's a narrative that I think will fall off very quickly, especially after some of the news from like the joint practices leaks out about how he's carving up some of those defenses like the Buccaneers. So it's a dead conversation for me until we start seeing some huge red flags, which I don't think are going to really pop up.
I agree. All right. Guys, it's been the Jets Flight Squad. We out. We'll see you next week. We love you, Jets fans. Man, stay hydrated if you're going to camp. Put some sunscreen on if you're going to camp. Wish y'all the best of luck. Go Jets.
Go Jets.
Peace.